Anyway, good to see you. Thank you for doing this. Really
Pleasure.
We are back on the road again, aren't we? Really, I suppose we're doing lots of. Are you doing festivals and stuff?
I've done. Yeah, I had a couple of 2 weeks ago. I had two in one day after 2 years.
Shit.
So yeah, I've done those two, but they kind of, because you know what it's like, Martin. It's like it's 25, 30 minutes on stage, and then it's all over, and it's like, wow, okay.
Yeah. It's a really strange thing. I need to explain for our listeners what that's like, because these like Let's Rock events and Rewind and stuff like that are really well organized.
Yeah.
With huge audiences. For those who have never been, I'd recommend them. And they're really well done, and they have very good visuals and all that stuff, and it's top production quality. But it's like doing a TV show a bit, I think, but with a giant live audience, because you're only on stage to play a few hits, and that's it.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it?
It's it's almost like a proper job, isn't it? Because you know exactly what is required of you, and you're quite happy to deliver it, because it's still fun, and you're hanging out with your mates, and you're and just that, even just that half an hour on stage is still a great buzz. It really is. But but there are other festivals. I'm doing a couple of this weekend. There's one that's an actual proper gig, a 90-minute set.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah.
I hope you don't fall asleep before the end of it.
Well, this is the danger. I had a little run through of some of the songs I haven't played for God knows how long the other day, and I was exhausted at the end of it. The crowd,
the adrenaline will get you through. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you. Before we move on from that, I found it really emotional. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
Playing for the first time.
The first couple were, yeah. It really was. And I think the crowd felt it as well. I got a lot of sort of tweets back, because first thing I said when I walked on stage was like, "God, I missed you guys."
Yeah.
And I meant it. And there were, there's people that that's their first gigs as well. Some of these people coming up for the first time. I mean, I remember about a couple of weeks before, or about a week before, I went to Castle, and there was a joust, and there was just a bunch of people just sitting in a field, with this joust going on, and applauding, and just being part of something was really quite emotional. And I totally get where people are at these festivals. It really is. It's a big deal. We took a huge amount for granted, didn't we?
Oh my God, yes, definitely. I mean, I remember those first two gigs we did a couple of weeks ago ourselves. Everything looked kind of normal backstage, but you looked into people's eyes, and they were they've all been through some deep stuff. Everybody, not just the artist, but the audience and each individual. So we do a huddle before we go on stage every time, and for the first time ever, I said, "Look, it's not really about us. This, it's not about how we perform or anything. It's like we need to deliver on behalf of every one of those individual people out there who've been through hell, So, and that was
absolutely
quite impactful, I thought. Anyway, it's all very deep this morning, isn't it? So you grew up in Suffolk. You were born in Suffolk, is that right?
I was born in Bristol.
Bristol.
My parents moved when I was like 18 months old or something, and I grew up in Ipswich in Suffolk. Yeah.
Right. And you still live there now, or in Suffolk?
I've kind of moved back into my old stomping ground. Yeah, I'm still about an hour from Ipswich, but I'm actually technically in Essex, although my postal code is in Suffolk, so I'm I'm about 200 yards from the border. A lovely little sleepy village.
That's a pity, isn't it?
Nice to.
Anyway, I've lost the whole swathe of Essex fans now. And your mum and dad he said, you never know with Wikipedia, do you? But
No, you don't. No.
It said your dad was a flautist, and your mum was an opera singer. Is that right?
She trained as an opera singer. She never actually did it. I mean, she kind of she met my dad when she was quite young, and I married, and as I said, moved to Ipswich, and then she was like sort of typical 60s housewife, really. But she did sort of a lot of church stuff, a lot of choral stuff, and concerts and the local orchestras and the local Gilbert and Sullivan Society and all that kind of stuff.
That must have had a big impact on you, presumably.
It was always around, you know. I mean, we should be cooking a Sunday roast and singing the Hallelujah chorus, you know. So it was sort of there was always music around. There's a piano in the corner that I don't really know why. My dad didn't really play it, but there's also a guitar in the corner, and nobody played that. And I said, I don't know why that was even there, but there were musical instruments around. I didn't get any interest in picking any of them up until I was sort of in my early teens, really.
Is that right? And you're a self-taught guitarist, is that right?
Yeah, I think most of us are. I mean, I come of our generation. You didn't have guitar lessons at school. I mean, that was just unheard of. So I'd sort of locked myself in my bedroom and slowed down Richie Blackmore solos and and learned that way. Yeah.
Well, now it's all on YouTube, isn't it? It's like No, I was going. I saw my daughter last week. She lives in Spain, and she was carrying this beautiful kind of crocheted bag. I said, I really like that bag. Where did you buy it? She said, I made it. I learned it in like 15 minutes on YouTube, you know.
Yeah.
Like, I think you can do anything. You can teach yourself, well, not nuclear physics or brain surgery, probably. And did you ever, I mean, obviously you play keyboards as well for writing, etc. And is everything self-taught then? That's basically it.
I can't honestly claim to be a keyboard player. I said I was lucky enough to be sort of making music in a time when technology was making it a lot easier for people to make acceptable noises. and keyboard, and when I sort of started getting my break, it wasn't that fashionable to be a guitar player. So I saw all the keyboard players having fun.
Right.
I just got interested. I got interested in the technology and sequencing, and any keyboard playing I did do was with one finger, you know.
Right.
But
sounds like me.
But
except I don't do the guitar thing.
But no, I served my apprenticeship as a guitar player, and I've had plenty of opportunities to, you know. In fact, that was one of the things I didn't do during lockdown. When I promised myself I was going to learn how to play the piano, no, I never actually did it. Obviously,
yeah.
Or learn Mandarin.
I love the Mandarin. Yeah, it's great.
Or bake sourdough.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, all that stuff. And you started off. Did you have a band called Fusion or something?
I was in a band called Fusion. That was the band that we all used to go and watch on a Sunday evening in Ipswich. They were sort of an Essex-based band, and they were just amazing. And all the musos used to turn up at this pub called the Kingfisher and watch them do their things and play the Steely Dan and the Weather Report and you know, all the difficult stuff and play it properly.
Wow.
So they were great, and I got lucky enough to get offered the job as a guitar player when I was working in an unemployment benefit office. And bizarrely, I actually hesitated for about 2 weeks before saying.
I bet you're glad you did it, though, aren't you? Now,
yes, now.
But that must have been an incredible training for you, because you know a lot of people I talk to, you know, they started off in, say, covers bands. You know, this is like the top end of that market, isn't it, really? If they're doing like Weather Report and stuff like that. Good Lord, that's quite a...
Well, yeah, although I've got to say, I've probably learnt more doing the covers, because basically what I saw at the Kingfisher on a Sunday night is what they did for fun. What they did as a day job was there were bar mitzvahs, weddings. So my second gig was at Walthamstow Town Hall, where I had to put the the purple velvet suit on and just stand there whilst they played like 2 hours of music I hadn't even heard. I didn't even know what it was. I mean, there was a few pop tunes I vaguely recognised, but I was expected just to pick it up as I went along. So I started learning the noble art of busking and just kind of trying to figure out what the next chord was going to be. That was a huge curve, that was. And also I'm playing stuff like not only pop hits, I'm playing like Irving Berlin and Cole Porter songs and stuff.
Now there's the shit, you see.
Yeah.
That's where you're building your own personal DNA for songwriting, isn't it? Because they are the masters. Cole Porter and all that stuff. And actually, myself, I learnt a lot through doing the British Electric Foundation stuff when I was studying the songs that we were covering. And I had no idea until I started studying them how complex they were. Because it's like the Swan thing, isn't it? It's very elegant on the surface and it just sounds obvious. Yeah. Under the bonnet, there's a lot of shit going on there. Yeah. And that's the way I feel about those great traditional songwriters. You know, it all sounds so easy, but it's not.
Yeah, the best songs do, yeah. Yeah. And I had a bit of a taste of it as well. I've been in a few house bands over the years for Princess Trust and a few charity events and stuff like that, and learning other people's songs. Yeah. And you don't appreciate those songs unless you sit down and sort of dissect them and think, actually, this is really quite complex and sophisticated, the way they put this together. This is, you wouldn't know it from just sort of listening to 3.5 minutes of music on the radio.
No, of course. Who are your favourite songwriters then, would you say?
I guess I grew up with like Paul Simon, and Bowie was huge. I don't know anybody that wasn't influenced by Bowie in some shape or form.
Right.
He was a huge thing. I remember I kind of got into and ran about Aladdin Sane and then and worked my way backwards to Hunky Dory and
right
Diggy and all that,
and Laughing Gnome. Yeah.
Not quite. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah, that was actually I remember that being a hit because it was a hit after it wasn't. They brought it out afterwards, probably to his horror. They brought it out a few years later.
Do you remember that thing where his fan club said, you know, we're going to do a set based on all the things that the favourite songs that you request, and everybody sent in Laughing Gnome. And he didn't perform it, unfortunately. But that would have been funny.
That would have been.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fascinated with the name Mickey Modern, by the way.
Okay. His real name was Mickey Turner. He was my manager when it was all kicking off. He used to manage 9 Below Zero before he came.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So he had a kind of pedigree. I was a bit suspicious about the name as well. But
it sounds like like creme brulee. If they had a manager, it'd be called Mickey Modern.
Yes. No, he was great. I mean, he did. He really did the business for me. And I guess if your name's Mickey Modern, you get your phone calls returned, don't you?
Yes.
Mickey Turner called. Oh, did he? Who called? Mickey Turner. I can't remember that. Mickey Modern called. Oh, yeah.
Oh, Mickey. Yeah. Great. And but it's funny. I interviewed Howard Jones, and it's that kind of period where record companies were kind of hoovering up talented artists, and they got enough of a skill set in the kind of new wave sense that they could market them relentlessly, immediately at this point. Yeah. And you were very lucky that you were riding that particular wave. I mean, when you got signed in 1984, was it 84 you were signed?
Yeah, 83 I actually got signed,
83.
Early 83.
I mean, you were on Live Aid as well, weren't you, in 84, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 85, right. So this is when all the people who listen to my podcast are always criticising me for doing my research badly. So this is for all you lot who are going to complain. Fuck off, I don't care. I'm doing my best. Give me a break. But what I'm saying is that like Howard went from like 0 to 60 in 1.2 seconds, and you did as well.
Yeah.
You know, which is an amazing thing. I mean, you completely deserved, I have to say. You wrote some really excellent songs, I thought, at that particular period. And we'd got, thank God, Top of the Pops was in full effect at that point, and that really enabled new artists to get into the stratosphere quickly. It's a real pity we don't have any equivalent nowadays. What do you think?
Yeah, it was. Well, it was a lot simpler, wasn't it? I mean, when you think about it, there were very specific routes to making it, and if you didn't get Top of the Pops, you didn't have a hit. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
Top of the Pops, Radio 1, and Bob's Your Uncle, and that's the way the system worked. And also for a period, the record companies knew they invested, and they invested their time, and that they had a bit more patience than they do now. Certainly, I think. Because my first attempt wasn't a hit. I Won't Let the Sun Go Down on Me wasn't a hit the first time, and it was.
Wasn't it?
No, it was. It got to about 47, 48, something like that. But I got a few radio plays, and they got me name about a bit. But they stuck with it, and then Wouldn't It Be Good came out, and it all went completely nuts. But at that point, once they've done the homework and everything, it either happens or it doesn't, and it just did. And all the things, you look back and you think of all the things that came together that made the difference. You know, getting that specific Top of the Pops at the right time, or doing a particular TV show, or just getting on a radio playlist, or getting a magazine cover. All the things that happened exactly at the right time that even the best record companies couldn't actually plan. They just sort of threw everything at it.
Yeah.
And then you look back and you think, well, I'm just so lucky that it actually happened, because you're probably aware of loads of acts that were around with you, on stable mates and stuff like that had exactly the same. They had the same talent, they had the same stuff going on, they had the same resources being thrown at them, but it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen for them, and it did for us. And very lucky.
It's a mystery in some respects. Why? Yeah, I mean, actually, that's worthy of a podcast episode in itself. Is the kind of everybody just sees the tip of the iceberg of the ones where it does work, and the ones where there are lots of resources thrown at them and it just doesn't work. That takes a bit more research, so I probably won't get around to it. But anyway, it's a good idea. So. Tell me about Live Aid. I read that you were absolutely terrified. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think I was the only one. The only one that was absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, because and also you could see it coming. It was just like this large sort of slow moving vehicle that was approaching you over a period of about 6 months. Because when Bob first asked, if I wanted to do it, it was Band Aid had just happened, and he was. I'm still a mystery what he was doing there, but he was lurking at Heathrow Airport because there was a bunch of us flying out to a Peter's Pop show or whatever it was in Germany.
Yeah.
And he was sort of ambushing people, and he said, "Look, we've had this success with Band Aid, but we're thinking of putting a gig on for the same cause and stuff. What do you reckon? Would you want to do it?" And I said, "Yeah, great, I'd love to do it." But at the time, it was I don't know. Hammersmith Odeon, and
oh right,
it was nothing. It was not a massive thing. And then you sort of after agreeing to do it, you just sat back and watched it get bigger and bigger and bigger. Then it was the Wembley Stadium. Then there was a worldwide audience of 2 billion. Then it was Philadelphia as well, and then there's other gigs going on in Sydney, and it just turned into this monster thing. And you were just so aware of how big it was before you actually went and did it. And I just remember just not in, I'm suffering from imposter syndrome anyway, and not that it was about me, obviously, that it was his, but you can't help being in your own space when it's all going on and thinking I don't belong here. I'm standing, there's Bowie over there. I'm just hanging out with Sting and talking to him about his Dream of Blue Turtles album, and there's all these amazing people I'm surrounded with. And what am I doing here? And But just the literally, because it had a revolving stage, and there were three stages on it. There were, you were breaking down one band, setting up another, and there was the band on stage. So I just remember standing on our bit of stage at 20 minutes before going on, and just not knowing whether the gear was on stage, I've never really played a festival before, but in fact the only festival I'd played was a year before at Wembley Stadium with Elton John. But so I mean, we're used to it now, aren't we? Used to not having sound checks and just walking on stage, and there it is. It's all ready to go because we've got digital recalls and all technology. Your monitor's going to be the same and stuff. But you literally didn't know if any of your gear was going to be A, there, and B, working.
Oh, so you have this kind of nightmare that you go bang and nothing's coming out, and
nothing's coming out,
and it's like, and then back in the studio they say, yes, we'll just cut to Terry Wogan now or whatever it is, while they sort everything out, and before you know it, your slot's gone. That's the nightmare that I would have had in that situation.
Yeah, well, I had all those nightmares. Obviously, I had a few sleepless nights beforehand, but just the terror, and I just remember body carrying me on stage. Because my mind wasn't there at all. My body just sort of, my mouth moving up and down, the words coming out.
Astral projection. You were viewing it all from above.
It was literally like it was happening to someone else. But I kind of got through it with a few comedy errors. Yeah.
Oh yeah, people loved it. And I to be honest, we didn't. They asked us to do it because we were friends with Bob at the time.
Yeah.
And we said, well, we just don't play live, and we only do TV shows. We'd have to get an entire band together. And
I didn't realise that.
Oh, yeah. We only did TV shows, and so we turned it down. Another great decision on our behalf, by the way. We turned it down, yeah. But anyway, there you go. So you've, I mean, obviously, everybody knows the one and only. I mean, are you did you co-write that with Chesney Hawkes, or
no? That was
you on your own.
That was written because I stopped making records and gigging for about 10 years. I think I stopped at the end of '89, and just because I thought it'd be really easy just to write songs for other people, and how easy would that be? And pretty much the first one out of the bag was that one. I just stuck it on a shelf for about a year. And then I think Chesney's dad walked to the Warner Chapel offices and said, we've got this movie and we need a song. What have you got? And they played him that, and Chesney's dad loved it. The producers hated it, apparently, of the movie.
Oh.
Yeah. Isn't he? And we went in this Abbey Road and recorded it. And a year later, it's kind of clawed its way up the charts, and
now it's on every single 80s station in the world, I think, that record, or whatever.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, that was technically, it was written in the 80s, but technically it was 1991.
Yeah. In fact, I mean, it's kind of like extended 80s, we'll call it. The other people you've done a lot of collaborations, obviously. Tell us about working with Elton John.
Well, there was a period sort of in the sort of 84, 85, most of the 80s really, where he kind of took me under his wing a little bit. I remember seeing him in Paris. I was promoting very early days, very early 84. I was doing some promotion in Paris, and he was playing a gig at the Bercy in Paris. I mean, invited us to the gig, and we had a nice chat, and that sort of hung out. And he was a great champion for me. He's always been, he still is. He got an incredible interest in new music, and he had been new coming out, and I was a beneficiary of that back then. And his first collaboration I did, I remember being over for dinner once, and he said, I've just got some lyrics from Bernie about 2 weeks ago, and I've made some demos. Do you want to hear them? So, all right.
Oh, yeah. All right.
So he played me these demos for the Ice on Fire album. And he said, what do you think? I said, great. I love that one and that one and that one. And he said, well, do you want to play on them?
Wow.
So yes, please. So yeah, that was the first thing, was me playing on that album, and Nik Kershaw playing rhythm guitar on Nikita. So I have a big smile on my face every time that comes on the radio.
Oh, that's nice.
And then after I'd stopped recording, actually, sort of early 90s, 93, something like that, I'd get a phone call out of the blue from him saying, "Have you got any songs?"
Elton John ringing you up.
Yeah, that's
I know. Or, anyone.
Which I didn't. He said, "But I'm putting this duet album together, and I just wonder if you got anything." So I said, "Well, I'll lock myself in the studio a couple of days and try and come up with something." Then he put the phone down, and then he phoned back straight afterwards. He said, "You do realise I want you to sing it with me, don't you?" Which I didn't at the time. I thought he just wanted a song. So I thought, oh,
right,
okay. So that was that, and fortunately, he liked one of the songs. And a week later, we were in Metropolis Studio with me producing Elton John. That was quite.
Wow.
That was the most nerve-wracking bit. Not performing it or writing it. It was actual. How do you? I'm sort of thinking, what do I say to Elton John if he sings it out of tune, or how do you approach that? But he was just a consummate professional, and he just if he didn't like a take, he put his hand up and said, "No, I want to do that again."
Yeah,
and did it until he was happy with it, and he was just a dream to work with. So you see all the. I mean, I've witnessed a few of his. I've just finished reading his book as well, which is brilliant. I have to say, it was a really good read. And I was with him during that time when I witnessed quite a few meltdowns and tantrums and flying plates of sushi and stuff. And but to actually work with and be with him, he was in my experiences, always a consummate professional and an absolute delight to be around.
Yeah. You would say that though, wouldn't you?
Well, I would say.
I'm sure he is. I've got a funny Elton John story. I was in Venice with some friends, and we'd had a very heavy night. It was a festival called the Redentori Festival that we were at, and it's like everybody in town. The whole of Venice turns into one giant piss-up, basically, for one night of the year in mid-July. And the following day, we booked a restaurant on an outlying island called Torcello. And we had to get on a boat, one of those fantastic James Bond speedboats. And we went to the island. And one of my friends, who's Titch, the drummer from Living in a Box, who's a right laugh, was a bit worse for wear, shall we say. And the boat's bouncing up and down as we're heading towards this island. It's feeling more and more rough. We get there. He can't order any food to this beautiful restaurant, Anyway, he starts turning greener and greener, and his wife and one of his friends took him to the toilet in the restaurant, which was a beautiful, fancy restaurant, He's leaning over the sink, obviously close to throwing up. Who comes out of the toilet but Elton John and with Dave Furnish, right? So after all this time, it's like it's been about 2 hours of him feeling sick. Elton John comes to wash his hands. He turns around and throws up all over Elton John's feet.
They're probably quite expensive.
David Furnish is going, "What the hell are you doing?" Oh my God! Of all the things to happen, of course, he was really apologetic. Oh, I wish I'd have seen it with my own eyes. But anyway, yeah, that's my Elton John story. I've never met him, actually. I think he's a very interesting character.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I would say, though, this particular day, it was like 35 degrees in this beautiful gardens that we were eating in. And he was wearing his full stage outfit.
Yeah.
Like serge jacket up to the neck. I'm going, what the hell are you doing, man? Just chill out. Nobody cares. Just let yourself go, Anyway. So you work with Sia, Gary Barlow, Bonnie Tyler. Bonnie Tyler seems like a nice person.
She's fantastic. She's really lovely and incredibly down to earth. And in fact, my one abiding memory of recording it was not a recording of that amazing voice, which was brilliant, obviously, but of her constantly sticking her head around the control room door, going, "Would anyone like a cup of tea?"
Yeah, funny.
She was making tea for us all the time. She's just a lovely lady.
That's so sweet. So sweet. So on your I can't remember, it's your website or Wikipedia or whatever it says. I think it's your website. It says articulate wordplay, soaring melodies, and thoughtful lyricism.
So that says that on my website.
I think it might do.
Well, I must have written that then.
I'll never forget. Vince Clarke once said to me, "Do you know? Every time I write a song, I think it's really good, and I can't believe it when it's when something's not a hit. I'm my own biggest fan."
Well, you have to be, don't you, mate?
Yeah,
you have to go through. So, I mean, if you don't think it's silly, why are you even bothering putting it out there? You know, because
that's right.
I mean, you do. I'm my own worst critic probably, and I get, because I take so long to do anything, I just get bored with things. That's my problem.
Do you? So tell me about your songwriting process.
Well, it's kind of there isn't a process anymore, because I mean, back in the day, when you're fired up with all that creative energy and the fact that you're all this success and you've been driven along, and you got deadlines, and it's like there were 2 albums in the first 9 months. I actually recorded.
Wow.
Recording one whilst promoting the other, and I wrote the entire second album in about 2 weeks.
Jeez.
So that was I was on fire at that point. But nowadays it's kind of, I don't even go looking for it anymore. It's just kind of, it either turns up or it doesn't. I only bother to sort of act on anything that's just keeping me awake at 2 o'clock in the morning. If it's sort of, I've got a tune in me and it just won't go away. The only way it's going to go away is if I put it in a song or do something with it. It's just demanding some attention from me, and that's the only way I write anymore. And it's a very slow process now, and I just kind of, I potter really, because I haven't, there's no great need for another Nik Kershaw album, but there will be one, because it will just kind of happen.
We're like that with Heaven 17, except there's no great need for a new Heaven 17 album, and we don't do it either. So, I think we've solved that problem. It's a kind of completed circle.
Right, well, okay.
I know, no, there are always fans that would love you to just pump out an album.
I know.
But it's just,
I like doing it. I do like, about the only reason I release albums is because I like creating stuff. It's kind of what I do.
Yeah.
You don't do what you do. You can sort of just kind of sit in the corner and shrivel up somewhere.
Yeah.
The only need is my need to actually do it, really.
Oh, fair enough. What else was I going to ask you? So, you worked with Tony Banks, and tell us about Tony Banks. So I was always a big Genesis fan, I have to say. So
yeah, me too.
And I know you did Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, or one section of it, didn't you? On a new recording.
I did that. Yeah, that was for Steve Hackett.
Right.
For those that are not in the know, Steve Hackett was the guitar player in kind of, in my opinion, the best lineup of Genesis. That being with Peter Gabriel and I was a massive fan at that time, and one of my big albums, as I said about the other one, was Aladdin Sane, around about the same time. But the other massive album for me was The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Oh, brilliant! Al, do you know, I listened to it the other day.
Yeah.
For the podcast listeners, there's some of you it'll be before your time, but I urge you to go and listen to it. I mean, it's not completely brilliant throughout. But it is, when it is brilliant, it's supreme. Some of those songs are just mind-bendingly good, I think.
They're incredible. And there's this, I sung my favourite for Steve Hackett. He was doing Genesis Revisited,
right?
Too, and he asked me if I'd sing a song on it, because our connection was Nick Beggs. Nick Beggs was playing bass with him,
Right.
so he knew he got through to me through Nick. They said, what would you, if you wanted to sing an old Genesis song, what would it be? And I said, well, the Lamia from The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway.
Beautiful.
It's a beautiful tune. And I did it and recorded it. And then he said, well, we'd done a couple of gigs. Do you want to do a gig? And I thought, well, yeah, okay. But I'm terrible with my own lyrics, remembering my own lyrics.
Really?
Absolute. I'm a nightmare. I just can't. I wanted to be an actor at one point, but I'd never be able to do it because I wouldn't remember my lines.
I'm the same.
I mean, it's the old ones that kind of I still get caught out on those even now, but they're sort of just there. They're ingrained, But anything vaguely new, I really struggle with. So we're at the Hammersmith Apollo, and doing this gig, and there's all these sort of serious prog fans. I mean, if anybody takes their music seriously, it's the prog fans, right? Sitting there with the leather jackets, sort of staring at me, just waiting for me to fuck up, because there were a lot of comments as to, really?
Nik Kershaw
of Genesis,
destroying my memories.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But I pulled it off, even though I had the lyrics on the floor. But when in the heat of the moment with the lights doing whatever they were doing, I couldn't read them anyway. So I just had to dig deep and just remember those lyrics. And I got through it. It was all right. It was great. A great experience and a lovely bunch of people as well. But Tony Banks was just, that was another out of the blue phone call as well. He was just making one of his solo albums and wanted some lyrics and some vocals from me, which I was happy to oblige.
Absolutely. And do you ever, you obviously have a publisher who kind of, finds opportunities for you and distributes your songwriting, no? Yes?
Well, I kind of, yeah. I've got a publisher that does I self-publish my new stuff, but the old stuff was Warner Chappell.
Oh, right, yeah.
And well, when I was, no, it was Warner Chappell. It was Rondorf when I was having the hits, and then when I was sort of writing and stuff, that was Warner Chappell, and then Rondor again. Well, I found most of the time you either, but certain collaborations and work that I did, they just sort of they kind of turned up. They just it was mostly the artists or the artist management that got in touch with me. It was rarely through the publisher, to be honest.
Yeah. They always they talk a good game, publishers, don't they?
They do. I've never really figured out. I mean, publishers, they collect me money and they send it to me on time, which is nice, and I kind of appreciate that they do that for me. But yeah, and I don't ask them to do anything else now. But there was a time when I was kind of, well, can you get me some work? Can you get me?
Yeah.
I'd like to write for them, or I've got written this great song. Can you get it covered? It never really happened like that.
Having said that, I definitely, I'd say 90% agree with you. When around about the year 2000, when I was looking for, I thought, right, I'm going to give it one last really big push to do, to try the American model of production. I was going to go to America and pitch to various people in America, to American artists, to do production for them. And over there, as you know, it's kind of like a different scene. It's like you kind of often have to find the songs and develop or develop the artists, and then you kind of you design your own job description. So I was going around lots of publishers in the UK before I went over to the US and did the same thing. And I'm pretty sure they pitched me a few of your songs, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It's possible. It is possible. I mean, they got pitched, but then there was never any follow up. I don't think. But it's a completely different model in the States. Anyway, it's a very different world. I mean, you've got this kind of Diane Warren school of songwriters who a lot of whom are very pushy and aggressive, and actually, they get their own covers. They do their own work. Yeah. And you've got a lot of songwriters over there who could call themselves songwriters who actually might have been in the room when the song was written, but their big deal is actually getting songs cut and getting songs covered.
That's true. That's true.
And you know, that's why they're in the room.
Have you ever met Diane Warren?
No.
I have. She's a right giggle.
Yeah, I'm sure she is. Yeah.
She's a right potty mouth. She really...
Yes, no, I've heard that. I have heard that.
No, I recorded a couple of her songs with another artist, and I think she's a great songwriter, by the way.
She is, yeah, but incredibly astute businesswoman as well.
Oh, well, they have to be.
Go hand in hand.
They have to be. You did a film, didn't you? Round Island with a Fridge.
Oh, okay. My cameo appearance, man in bookshop.
But you wrote music for it, right?
Well, I didn't know I was writing music for it. We went because Tony Hawk is also, as well as being, you know, a favourite on Radio 4 quiz shows and stuff. And an author, is also a songwriter. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and he was he's big mates with Ches. And at one point, a bunch of us went over to the Pyrenees. He had a little house in the Pyrenees, and we just spent a week just writing songs together and stuff like that. And I forgot all about him. And then he puts this film together for his book Round Island with a Fridge, and all the songs that we wrote on that thing turn up and get shoehorned into the soundtrack.
Yeah. I love that book, by the way. I read that.
It's a great book. It's a lovely book.
Very funny. Very funny. Okay, we're at the smash hits part of the interview now.
Okay, lovely.
So ask you a bunch of what favourite things, right? So
Right.
What's your favourite film?
Well, wow, okay. Off the top of me, I've given I get asked these questions a lot. You do, don't you, over the years? And then obviously the answer to that question has changed. At one point, it would have been the original Blade Runner, and then Shawshank Redemption, and then I don't know. I just the Sunshine Boys. That's a good one. That's with Walter Matthau and George Burns.
Wow,
You can find it somewhere.
I've never seen that.
It's written by Neil Simon.
Oh, I love Neil Simon's stuff.
One of the funniest films you will ever see in your life.
I'm going to write that down.
Brilliant performances from the whole cast. It's just such a delightful film.
Oh, I shall definitely watch that. Favorite book?
I'm not a big reader, but especially nowadays, because that's the trouble with mobile phones. Is I'm a scroller now. I just kind of...
You're a doom scroller.
I'm a doom scroller.
That should be the name of your next album.
And I hate
scroller.
Yeah, and I hate myself afterwards. I feel dirty. So, what I've been doing for the last 2 hours. I could have read a book. But no, I get a favourite. There's ones I keep dipping in and out of, and there's one called Golfer's Omnibus by P.G. Wodehouse.
Oh, a lot of people like P.G. Wodehouse.
Yeah, I love P.G. Wodehouse.
My brother used to read everything he ever wrote, I think, and thought it was the funniest thing on earth.
Yeah, I particularly love it because I'm a particularly bad golfer as well. So it kind of those two things together. the comedy golf, which is kind of golf I play.
Very good. TV show, past or present, or box set, or anything you want to.
Oh, I remember it being when I met Sarah, my wife. There was we used to spend hours and hours watching the box set of the House.
Yeah,
couldn't get enough of House.
Yeah, it's good. It's good, isn't he?
Hugh Laurie, yeah,
really good. Very convincing.
He was quite convincing, and I know people that couldn't believe he was actually English, but
yeah, it's quite something to take on a very high-profile series in an alien accent. I mean, he must have thought he was American for a while.
yeah, absolutely. But it was. But the weird thing about that show is that it's the same story every episode, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's because someone gets ill. They don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. It's this. No, it isn't. It's this. No, it isn't. It's this. No, it isn't. It's that. Oh, that all
ending. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the story. But we submitted so much because of the characters involved, and I just loved it. It was great. In fact, we tried to reintroduce it to our 18-year-old daughter a few months back, and she got hooked as well.
There you go. An epiphanal moment in your life, something that, like really impacted your direction of travel or changed it.
Okay. Watching a 20-minute documentary on David Bowie. Do you remember a magazine program called Nationwide?
Yeah.
And they did that every now and again. They had a little 20-minute documentary about nothing particular. And this one night was about Bowie when he was on the Ziggy Stardust tour.
I remember it.
Yeah. And I'd never heard of Bowie. I didn't know who he was at all. And that definitely changed my life, because I would have been about 12, 13, something like that. No, a bit older than that maybe.
Yeah.
When it came out, I thought, that's what I want to do. I don't want to be a racing driver or a professional footballer, neither of which were going to happen anyway. or even a film actor. I'm going to, in order to be the centre of attention, I'm going to be a rock star.
Fair enough. And you did it. That's an amazing thing, isn't it? What's your favourite Bowie album?
Still a Lad Insane.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing to work.
I mean, nothing's flawless, but for me, it's flawless. I mean, it's just everything about it. It's the guitar sounds, the amazing piano playing. I can't remember the guy's name is.
Mike Garson.
Right, there you go.
Yeah. I met him recently. He's very nice guy. He's been doing some, Glenn does the Holy Holy thing with Tony Visconti, where he performs Bowie stuff. And Mike Garson's got another version of a kind of Bowie, top-level Bowie tribute.
Right.
And, he asked me to go and sing it. Now I'm going, yeah, you're all right. I think probably best not, I can sing, but... ambition unfulfilled.
Wow, okay. Well, bizarrely, I've never been that ambitious. I mean, it sounds like a crazy thing to say when I've had the life I've had, but it's... most things are just falling in my lap. I've been that lucky. I've never been... I'm a reactive person rather than a proactive one.
Oh, okay.
Just shit happens to me.
Which I've been... Good shit generally.
Good shit generally happens to me. So I've never think, right, I really want to do this, but I don't know, some just stupid things which are perfectly achievable. Things like I should, I can make a phone call tomorrow and go and do a parachute jump. I've never done a parachute jump.
Oh my God, yeah, I'll leave you to that one. That's fine.
I've never, why don't I do this? There's loads of things that I could do. There's loads of places in the world that I've never been. I think, well, I should go and see them. But it's a bit. Actually, writing down a bucket list is a beginning and the end, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
Realize you've come to a certain age where you're going to have to squeeze.
I think we all have to assume that it's not. We're not going to be able to go on forever with limitless capabilities. It's not just financial. It's time. It's what happens if your knees fuck up, for instance, and you can't climb. I mean, a couple of years ago, I took my family to Peru, to Machu Picchu. We did the Inca Trail and all that stuff. I thought I'd better go on with this shit while I still can, Yeah. Have you been to? I mean, you probably performed in South America, haven't you?
And that would be a good ambition. I've never performed it. I've never been to South America.
Oh my God! Please do yourself a favor.
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah, amazing. If you want to, here's the thing. I'm offering things that other people can give, but there's a friend of mine called Simon Lowry who's you know Simon, right? Yeah.
Chile, the Chile.
The Chile thing. Has he invited you to do that?
Yeah, I just couldn't do it at the time.
You really
doing something
consider it, or go with your daughter or whatever. It'll change your life. I can guarantee.
Really?
Wow. Anyway, So anyway, but back onto the plot. What do you like visual art?
Yeah, I was very. I was kind of. That was one of my A levels that I flunked out of. That
Right.
was with visual arts. Yeah, I was really into the sort of a lot of the 20th century artists, and
So who's your favourite?
I can't remember Magritte and some of those surrealists, and obviously Dali and
Yeah.
some of the cubists, Braque.
Yeah.
Not so much Picasso,
No.
but never really got Picasso.
No. He was more of a kind of more like a meme. Picasso is like he epitomised an attitude rather than his actual work was not as impressive as a lot of the others. But in my view,
In our humble,
I think his ideas were supremely.
yeah, and his energy.
He was a complete bastard to women, though. You know.
Yeah, I know. That's colour. It colours your opinion of.
Yeah, it does. Which of your own work is your favourite?
I kind of do stuff and then move on. Really, I don't kind of.
You must look back.
I surprise myself sometimes. I'll go back because, as I said, I work so slowly. I'll do something and then I hate it. I think, why have I just wasted all that time doing that, and then forget about it, and then go back to it like 10 years later, or just accidentally stumble on it and think that was really good.
Yeah,
it's a bit like looking at old pictures of yourself, and because we all got hang-ups. Oh, my nose is too big, my legs are too short, my ears stick out too much, or whatever it is, and then you look at a picture from you from like 20 years ago, and you think, fuck, I wish I looked like that now.
it's not. Spoiler alert! It's not going to get any better.
No, it's not going to get any better. So it's the same thing with the music, really. I'm actually quite proud of the things that I've done in the past that I wasn't aware of that were pretty good. There was an album called 15 Minutes, and two albums in particular, 15 Minutes and To Be Frank, that happened to sort of 99 and 2001, I think they were, and they're great pieces of work. Some great tunes on them, and some really nice production, and yeah, that was good work, and stuff I did on the last album that was pretty good. There's good bits on most albums. I'm not kind of shy at all.
Is there not some one particular song that you think, it gives you a thrill every time you perform it?
Well, I guess what wouldn't it be good was the one that broke me. I mean, it was the one that really happened for me, and it's the one song. Because you tamper with songs, don't you, live? Because you get fed up with them, and it's the one song that's never been tampered with. It's just kind of, this is how it is, and it's guitars and it's bass and it's drums, and it's just off your pop, and it's never changed, and it still gives me a thrill every time. When the drummer starts counting in, and I'm going to hit those first few guitar chords, and it's a great feeling.
Excellent. And finally, your favourite synth?
Well, I guess it's going to have to be, because most of the first album was written on and actually recorded on with a Juno 60, a Roland Juno.
Oh, bless it!
And it's such a simple. And I've got software versions of it now. I mean, the original ended up in a skip in the middle of the 90s. When you were chucking away all the junk you didn't think you'd ever need again. But yeah, and it's just such a simple keyboard, and it's if you're ever going to learn how to use a keyboard and ASDR filters and all that kind of stuff, just start with that, because it's such a simple and beautiful sounding keyboard, and it's just very, very soft spot. It's how I learned to program sounds. It's how I learned a lot of those original songs on Human Racing and The Riddle are from that keyboard.
Yeah. And have you never wanted to get the physical synth back? I mean, you can buy these things on eBay and stuff.
Yeah, that's a good forward one. Now, they're so expensive. No, not really. I'm in a stage of decluttering. Really, I've got rid of loads of things. I've got like one guitar that I use for everything, and a spare, and two or three old ones that I'll never get rid of, and it's sort of 335 and a Gibson 175 and whatever. But I don't tend to keep gear anymore. I just kind of
and me neither.
And especially with technology, I'm not a snob about using software synths and stuff because they sound great. I mean, they're amazing, and it's just basically having it in the room. I don't know if it would make a huge difference to me, really.
Right.
No, not bothered.
So do you get up in the morning and go, right, today I'm going to write a song? I mean, do you set yourself work times?
No,
Deadlines are good,
I know they are good, but I don't, because I do everything myself pretty much. I'm kind of, because I'm such a control freak. So there's no one sort of standing there going, it's cracking the whip, basically.
Right.
And I'm obviously, I'm 63 now. I'm not going to think about retirement. I'm probably, I'll probably die with my gig boots on. But that's
We're like Tommy Cooper.
exactly. Yeah. You remember that? Actually? I remember exactly where I was.
I was watching it. Yeah.
Yeah, we were watching it in the dressing room at the Hammersmith Odeon. I had a gig that night, Hammersmith Odeon, and sat watching it in hysterics, seeing that. What a way to go! Yeah, I'm going like that. I don't write. Yeah, I don't sort of set myself targets and write. If I'm feeling a bit creative, I'll potter. I'll come into the studio most days and potter. Even if it's answering emails or just doing whatever. I'm in the studio and I'll pick up a guitar and I'll have a play. And if something happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not bothered.
I love your laid back approach. I have to set myself times like Rennie Magritte, went into the studio every day, 10 in the morning with his bowler hat on, and did like 7 hours or something, went home, had his tea, all that stuff. I have to do that sort of thing, or else I'd never get anything done. I'm just, I like self-discipline.
Yeah. Well, I never get anything done.
Well, what a pleasure, and I hope we're going to bump into each other this summer.
I think we are. I think you're doing Let's Rock Scotland.
I think we might be, yeah.
Yeah, I think we were up there. Yeah.
All right, man. I look forward to it. Thanks so much. Have a fantastic day, and keep on writing, mate. We need your songs.
Cheers, Martin.
All right, man. Cheers.
Hello, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye.